What caused the Mianus Bridge to collapse? Mostly what people have now are questions and maybe a few theories.
Tonight in our Closer Look, we raise some questions and hear some theories. News 12's Frank Boris is with us after spending the day talking to some of the many officials bewildered by today's tragedy. Frank?
Joe, what we've learned today is little more than the bridge should not have fallen. State and federal investigators say the section that fell into the Mianus will have to be raised and inspected to help them find out why it collapsed. But as Rebecca Shaw reports, an inspection of the bridge just last year showed it was in fair shape and structurally sound.
The big question today is why, and no one has any answers.
There really isn't anything to tell you. To ascertain exactly what went wrong, we have no definitive conclusions at this time at all.
Investigators spent most of the day sifting through the rubble looking for clues, but the first real break didn't come until late this morning. A pin or bolt that should be here isn't. The bolts hold the two braces of the bridge together. Without them, the bridge can float, essentially hang in midair. And this was the weak point. The first law enforcement people on the scene say the road tore off here. Once that corner was loose, the bridge didn't stand a chance. The stress of traffic brought the whole thing tumbling down.
There's been nothing to indicate any foul play as far as any external item used to cause this bridge collapse. We're talking about a 100-foot expansion section. If you have any knowledge of bridges, they mesh together and they move with the weather. And this one whole 100-foot section sheared right off, dropping into the river.
What investigators aren't sure of is if the missing bolt was enough to cause the accident, or even if the bolt came off before the accident at all. It too may have been a casualty of the fall. The break was an even one, as though someone carefully sliced out a section. Unbelievably, the bridge was listed as in fair condition in a recent report by the Connecticut Department of Transportation. It was inspected last September and checked out all right structurally.
In theory, this bridge should not be in the river, but in actuality, it is in the river. They'll all be inspected across the state of Connecticut. They're all done on about a 2-year basis. And you know, it's just so ironic. Here's a bridge. How do you project the lifespan of a bridge? The Brooklyn Bridge is 100 years old, and this bridge is down in 25 or 26 years.
The bridge passes inspection by the state. 9 months later, it collapses. If that bothers you, you're in good company. State Representative Jack Rudolph.
I think that they're going to give an excuse on Mianus, and I'm not receptive to excuses at this stage of the game. I want action. But more importantly, what I want is, I want the people to feel comfortable riding on the highways. My wife said it to me at breakfast this morning, right after we heard the sad news. She said, "Jack, what about the Yankee Doodle Bridge?" You know, I couldn't answer the question.
The investigation will probably go on for some time as they try to piece together the chain of events. Investigators know the end of the story. What they're looking for is someone to answer for the beginning. In Greenwich, I'm Rebecca Shaw, News 12.
As we have told you, the Mianus River Bridge has been ranked in the past as being in fair or relatively good condition. But the State Department of Transportation officials did warn of a possible major catastrophe back in 1979 because they were worried about deterioration. The question now is, how safe are the other bridges in the state? And what will commuters do about getting through Greenwich in the future? Finding an answer to the question, how did it happen, will not be easy. But one thing Department of Transportation officials are looking at are the pins and hangers that were supposed to keep the bridge span up. Edwin Fahol is the DOT manager of Design Division, and he says their inspections do have a starting point.
The fact that the span fell down has obviously got some implication with regard to the hangars. We don't know exactly what the implications are at this point.
He says they may not have all the answers just yet, but there are enough people to check out any clues that might be found.
Well, the National Transportation Safety Board is here. We've got our own engineers on the site, our own inspectors. The Federal Highway Administration will have its engineers here later, if they're not here right now. We may hire some consultants to assist us in the investigation later.
How long will it be before we know something?
No idea at all. No idea at all.
It could be all day, it could be all week?
Oh, yeah.
Even though the tragedy of this bridge collapse in Greenwich is still very vivid in our minds, the Department of Transportation has had to court companies that may build a temporary bridge. These men from the Accrowd Company of New Jersey came here just hours after the collapse to talk to the DOT's chief of engineering about a temporary bridge. They were actually showing him a number of different bridge spans that could be built.
If there's a 190-foot span, that's what you'd be
You're going to have to put a double there.
You've got to go two pedals high.
Double, yeah.
Right now, it's not certain how long it'll take before a temporary bridge can be built or the westbound side could be used because it may be too dangerous to drive on now. There are other areas with bridges of this type
Oh yeah, all over the
in
country.
Connecticut.
All over the country.
But in this state, what will be done as far as the other bridges?
Well, depending on the implications of the results that we get from this, but I'm sure they'll all be re-inspected certainly, and any implication with regard to the other similar bridges throughout the country, I'm sure will be looked at.
There are a number of other similar bridges that will be inspected on I-95, and the westbound lanes over the Mianus are being inspected before they can be open to traffic. Some of the people from the National Highway Safety Board told me this is the only second catastrophe of its kind. So this incident will be scrutinized thoroughly to avoid it from happening again in this state. Joe?
Frank, where will the money come from to fix the bridge?
Well, they're talking about within the special session in Hartford, they're talking about a special fund for highway repair and bridge repair, and that's where the money will come from, and chances are the legislators will go for it.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Frank.